we have 6 pillars to start building our bridge on top of that. And David, my new best friend, plus whoever has, who are familiar with Lego? What?
Come on.
Okay.
We're broadcasting again, just so you know.
We are?
Jonas,
No?
come help us real quick.
Yeah. Jonas. Yeah, and then take one of these pillars, and we decided a good place to start building it would be over here. So grab the box.
Charles, come help us build the bridge.
Yeah. Where's my architect from yesterday? I thought you would be the first one up here. He's not here? Okay. No.
This is only the foundation.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Over there, yeah. The things on top will come later.
Okay, you may want to go a little bit more back towards the drape so that we're not blocking the screen.
Super.
All right. Stage 1 of the bridge.
For those of you who are just joining from our virtual audience, what we're doing right now is in room, we've been talking about our takeaways from the big idea and the 4 questions that we've been working on, how you communicate to a business person, how do you define success as sustainability is applied to a meeting, what kind of relevant activities can you do, and what are the most important things you've just heard. So we just delivered those. If you would like a recap of what the findings were, you can go to our collaborative document at ez.com/GMIC notes and catch up with that. And I'm going to switch over now to our next presentation. So thank you, my happy hybrids, for joining us, and remember, you can always suggest questions and submit your thoughts.
Please welcome Corey.
Still morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Just a quick table 6. Team over there. We're already close. I think this has been a dynamic morning in the first 2 days. I am the Vice President of Sendine Arcanio. Many of you will know us mostly as Sendine, and I'll try to explain the Arcanio side in a couple minutes or less. And I'm going to use a picture to explain a little bit about what we do.
Yes, slides.
Our company is based in Boca Raton, Florida. About 180 employees. We support about 18,000 hotels and resorts and DMOs worldwide. So for many years we were known mostly as supporting the hotel side, so kind of a quiet company in that regard. In this case of this hotel, we support 4 different systems here, and we support many major brands, more than 60 hotel brands with our different web-based system tools. We have a complete digital media division. I won't be speaking about that as much, other than to say it's all built on a single platform. So in the area of digital and social media and then campaign management, we support that, and that's an explosive area of our company. We also support in the area of customer-facing tools, and the reason for our moving forward with the sponsorship today, a company we acquired called Metron that is in the area of strategic meetings management. And this is really database-driven again, and really brings together several components, all in a single platform that could include human resources, return on investment for sales and marketing, procurement, compliance, even total meeting spend of the largest company. A like product, Metron Express, that will help to bring that part of the overall strategic meetings management together. So building our strength already in the hotel industry with a very robust software, and we're helping with a new distribution channel for how leads from those companies can go out. A little bit long on that, I'm sorry. But I do want to talk about one other product today. If I was to say, what does Sendine Arcanio do in the area of sustainability? Well, I'd like you to think that we retired the 3-ring binder. okay? We actually developed, and the innovator of that product is here with me today, John Summersfield, our Executive Vice President of Sales at Sendine Arcanio, and also owns a meeting company previous to this, and still does. And in this case, developed a really efficient, what we like to say, streamlining the event planning process for hotel, planner, and any third-party vendor. And so rather than going long on it today, because I'm very excited about our presenter to follow me in just a minute, I wanted to give you one visual. This is the home page that we operate on Get Planning. In 3 clicks, I can get to any part of my meeting. The left side, all of the document categories that we have as a repository. Every one of those, excuse me, wow, that's powerful, sorry. Every one of those document categories can have subcategories. On the right side, you can get notifications on all of your individual meetings that you're having. With a single click at the bottom, I can go to another hotel, open that hotel, and follow the same protocol. I can have thousands of events stored here, and even after the event is concluded, it can be archived. So we're streamlining the event planning process in a way that is all web-based, cloud-based, and allows you to really streamline how you go forward with your organization, both as a meeting planner. You can communicate not only with your other parties. If you were to send a document, as soon as you send it, you can add a comment to that. The comment is stored in the system and also goes to the PDA of the person that you're sending it to, and you have a full distribution channel into that. I'm hoping I've piqued your interest, because right out that door next to table 6 is our booth, and we'd love to have you come by and see some more. Back in my hotel days, I was proud to be an opener of the Hyatt Regency Waikoloa in Hawaii. At the time, the most spectacular resort on earth, as we promoted it. $380 million. Pretty good piece of change back then. It's going to get dwarfed in a minute when Kevin speaks, but I am very proud to present Kevin Teng, Director of Sustainability at the Marina Bay Sands. He's been at the hotel since its inception and has a very amazing presentation on all aspects of sustainability. Kevin?
Thank you. I have a mic already.
Oh, you got one.
Test mine. So, one of the really surprising things that I've noticed in the conference so far, and some of you may agree, is that we're not really hearing that much about energy. I think everything else is great. Community engagement, waste management, source reduction, but we're not really hearing that much about energy savings. And I'm trying to figure out why, because 3 to 5 years ago, it was a really hot topic. In fact, even I was speaking with a lady during the interactive activity, and she said, her impression was that actually venues and destinations are doing really well with energy now, right? And so our focus has kind of shifted a little bit. If you look at the title of this presentation, Smart Technologies, Cost-Saving Measures, and Environmental Solutions, you're probably thinking LED lights, optimize our building management system, and metering, right? Because you can't measure what you can't manage what you can't measure. My goal here is to make you guys rethink that, because that was 3 to 5 years ago. We've done all that, and leading companies now are trying to figure out how we can further reduce our carbon footprint, and we've kind of figured it out. You'll see some good examples here based on having all this technology. I hope you take away that the key point of this is there's a lot more to this than just LED lights, a good building management system, and putting meters in. It comes down to the management of your entire integrated system, processes, people, and when I say management, it's both over-management and under-management. What do you do to manage people better, but what do you do to take the management process out of their hands also, using technology? So, refocusing our discussion on energy now. Just to give you some context, I'm from Singapore. Singapore is an island state shaped like a diamond, about the size of Rhode Island, in the tropics. Interesting thing is within A 7-hour flight radius, we have more than half the world's population. Because we're in the tropics and an island, resources are very scarce. So everything about sustainability is very important here. A little bit about our property, just to put some context also. Marina Bay Sands is one of the leading integrated resorts. We're part of the Las Vegas Sands Group. We have 2,500 rooms. For any of you that have been here, you've probably been on the pool on top of our roof. Spectacular views. Yeah, our meeting facilities are the best you can find anywhere in Asia. We have over 1 million square feet of space, meeting rooms, exhibition halls. Some quick slides here to give you some context on this, because the specific technology examples that I'm going to give later will require you to understand this. And of course, we have a number of green accolades partnering with organizations all over the world. GMIC, EarthCheck out of Australia. We recently got our ISO 21221 certification also. Okay, we also have a very strong green sustainability program driven by our corporate office. At Sands, our sustainability program is separate from every other department. So we're not under facilities or procurement or the PR team. We're our own department that can engage and do this analysis without being biased by anybody else in the company. We have 4 pillars: buildings, meetings, operations, and engagement. And this stems from the fact that as a company, we're one of the very few in the world that does the entire life cycle of development. We go, we're the primary investor in all of our properties. We have our own construction team. We have our own in-house design team, our own in-house procurement team, and we operate all of our buildings. So in that sense, we take a holistic approach, life cycle analysis of sustainability. Very strong green meetings program. If you need more information, we have a booth outside also. Everything from water and energy solutions to green meeting options, and all of it's cost neutral, in case anybody's wondering. High performance facilities, sustainability practices, green meeting options. We've got a lot of really good stuff going on out in Singapore. Okay, so the core of this presentation is about how to drive really effective technology solutions. This is a really simple graph that we use. In our company, we have to use really simple graphs, nothing fancy. Technology, processes, and people. This is what I hope you take away from here. Having all the great technology in place, LED lights, a great building management system, is completely useless unless you have the right management processes and the right people in place. It sounds, we've probably all heard this before, but as we all know, executing it is the hardest part, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit quickly about some of the really great technology items we have, and I really want to focus on the processes and the people side of this. So in terms of smart technology, as we all know, you need to have sub-meters in, right? So we've invested millions of dollars to put over 160 sub-meters in. We have energy dashboards with hourly readings, and believe it or not, people actually use this as a dashboard. All of our directors and supervisors of our convention space use it to manage their goals. So metering, first step. The second step, and this was a game-changing project for us, was to connect all of the event booking management system entries to the building management system. What we found once we installed the meters was that our directors, our supervisors of each of the floor noticed they were consuming a lot, but they don't have the resources to turn off energy, right? So we worked with our IT teams to figure out what will make our people, our operations guys on the grounds easier, their jobs easier. And this was the first thing that came to mind. So when they enter in, when we do all electronic BEOs at Marina Bay in Singapore, when they enter something in the BEO, it goes straight to our building management system. There's no human interaction, no Excel sheets, no printing out a piece of paper and giving it to your facilities manager to figure out when to turn off the lights and the air conditioning. It goes straight there. So this is a case of making sure the technology takes away the management of the space, right? Because before that, we had 10 guys running around the facility trying to turn off the lights because they want to save energy based on the meter readings. Now they can do it more efficiently. Okay, these three talk about lighting. I mentioned energy efficient lighting. I think this is a no-brainer for everybody in here already. Put LED lights, energy efficient lights everywhere you can. But the second item is really interesting. And typically in high bay applications, you don't really get good lighting sensors, right? Well, we've installed them. We work with our vendors to install sensors in all of the rooms. They automatically, so the question is, well, what if you have a wedding and it accidentally goes off and the wedding is for the Prime Minister's daughter of Singapore, which has happened at our building, right? We can't have the sensors on for that, right? What if an accident happens? So you can turn them off. You can deactivate the sensor. But then the question becomes, if you keep deactivating sensors, how do you turn them back on? So all of our sensors are linked directly into the building management system, and they automatically turn on every day at 1 a.m. It doesn't matter what. And then if one of the event managers wants to turn it off during the day for a specific event, they can do it. But then it goes back on anyway at 1 a.m. Again, this is a case of let's not overmanage the process. We'll use the technology to make sure our team members can meet their energy saving goals. And lastly, we do have eco mode buttons in our hotel guest rooms. This is a pretty simple one. Button in the room, if you're sustainability conscious, you can turn it off. It slows down the fan speed and automatically takes it to 25 degrees. Okay. All of this leads to our impact statement. Because we've sub-metered all of our metering and convention space, we can provide this to our clients within 4 weeks. We've sub-metered every electrical panel and PAU in our MICE facility, in the convention facility. Clients have really liked this. Team members have liked it more. Because team members knowing how much their events consume now, so external people love it, right? But the problem is they don't really have the benchmark. Team members love it even more because this allows them to benchmark their events against each other now. So our big project now is that we're trying to do this for every single event, and team members then compete, right? Quick tangent. There's been a lot of talk about collaboration here too. We love collaboration, but really it's the competition that drives change and productivity. It's team members competing, it's properties competing, so just keep in mind that we should all let's not disregard the competitive side of human nature. It's what our executives that are giving us the backing for this really want to hear. Competition. Okay, so this impact statement, we can put energy, water, waste, carbon footprint calculations, paper, plastic bottles, all of the key sustainability metrics. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, putting on all the technology is the easy part, right? The hardest part is changing behavior, is getting team members to believe in sustainability, live and breathe it so that me and my team aren't running around trying to do all the sustainability work. We have 9,000 team members at our property, and in order to change behavior, or in order to change everybody's thinking, there's got to be a process to it. So our focus has really been, 2 to 3 years ago, our focus was on installing the right engineering solutions. The last few years, it's been about how to get our team members to use these, right? And that's where our event sustainability management systems come into place. Very simple. You guys, everybody here knows about the ISO standards, but actually executing it is what gets everybody to use your technology. Act, plan, do, check, identifying issues, non-conformities, audits, documentation, everything are absolutely critical to reducing our carbon footprint. It's more than that. I give some specific examples here. We conduct regular audits on property. All of our directors are involved with that. We have sustainability ambassadors for each department. Most importantly, in every one of the SMART goals and KPIs for our senior management, not just in the sustainability team, talking about our special events team, our catering conference management, every single one of them has a sustainability goal in their year-end reviews. So that was part of the key process to getting people to use our technology. The third aspect of this is people, right? And without the people using it, without the people being educated, the technology is useless. So, but when it comes to people, the question is, how do you change behaviors, right? And changing behaviors is more than just setting a SMART goal, more than just setting up an SOP, like a process. So we've got our full communications and leadership team that has set up a mobilization strategy for our team members. We do annual, quarterly, monthly, and daily events. Everything from social media to interactive activities, like we celebrate our own World Hunger Week, to Earth Hour. All of these things 3-4 years ago we didn't do because our management thought it was a gimmick, right? Earth Hour, if you don't follow up on it, you're only turning off the lights for 1 hour. But what we found is that the more you engage your team members, the more touch points you hit on property, the more they live and breathe it. They live and breathe it. They take it back to their families. They come up with their own ideas, right? They take ownership. We do and moving from that, we've done, or building off of that, we've done comprehensive training, competency assessments for all of our team members. We offer Sustainability 101 training for them with online quizzes. When we went through our ISO certification process, everybody had to take the quiz, pass with 95%, including our senior management, up to our COO level. We do audits almost every week, waste, energy, and of course, Unifocus there is about, touches our guests and our delegates. And these are just some examples of some of the activities we do every month, not gimmicks. Earth Hour, I mentioned this. In Earth Hour this year, we had over 3,000 team members to participate in it with photos, proving that they did participate. Our team members operate and maintain their own herb garden. We have over 50 plants and varieties now. It started off as a small project. It's grown. They harvest over 100 grams a day. Everything you can imagine. We even have pineapple in there. And of course, I just added this in yesterday because I was talking about it with somebody and she thought it was a great idea. In our offices, we've removed all of everybody's personal trash can. So now, including our COO and our senior management team, which means that every time they have something to throw out, they have to go to the central waste collection area and figure out where to put that plastic bottle, figure out where to put that piece of paper, or if it turns out to be, food waste or something, food waste because it's a hygiene hazard, we put it in the general waste bin in offices. Again, it all comes down to your team member engagement and mobilization strategy. Like I said, we get over 50% of team members that participate in our activities. This is a quick graph showing the total number of team members that are engaged and mobilized in our activities. We hit 5,000 in 2013, and we're trying to, it looks like we're going to exceed that by March. We're at about just over 4,000. Okay, so this all leads to our key results, right? We wouldn't have been able to receive or enjoy a 13% decrease in our carbon footprint if it wasn't for all these three aspects: technology, processes, and people. Our annual carbon footprint, 8% decrease. Again, I can't emphasize more that it's more than just LEDs in your building management system and the metering in place. This is all stuff that was installed, and we only start realizing these savings once you engage your team members and once you put the processes in place. These are a few more statistics, but I think the last two slides drove the point home. There are a lot of savings to be made out there. I think that we should bring energy back on the table. I think LED technology, building management system, that might save you 5 to 10%. There's a good 10, 15% to go after that. If you really think about how to integrate all of your processes and engage your team members for that. And that is my last slide. Thank you.
Fantastic. Stay right there for 1 sec. So one quick question before we move on to our facilitation. So fantastic stuff that you guys are doing. How much are the meeting people that are coming in actually taking advantage of all the metrics that you can provide?
How many?
How many of them? Yeah, what
them?
Percentage of them?
It's a pretty small percentage right now.
And do you actively drive that conversation with them and offer it to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So because of the scale of our property, we have a dedicated sustainability team with, we call it Green Meetings Concierge Services.
Right.
I have 4 people on my team, and anytime we have an event, and we've already lined up 3 to 4 this year, if they want this, we sit down with them before the event and set their goals for this. Because we can measure it and benchmark it, we can say, look, best practice or baseline is X amount of carbon for a 3-day event with 500 people. Best practice would be this. So yes, the short answer is we sit down with them, we engage them, and because we've trained our entire sales team, catering conference management team, when they're engaging the client at the beginning, yeah. They're bringing it up to their clients first.
Okay.
So we've been inserted into that process.
So why would people not do this?
A lot of people are doing it, but it's purely education.
Okay.
I think so. So last year we had less than 10, but for a lot of companies now that we're seeing that about 70% of our business is small events.
Yeah.
They don't really know what to do with information.
Okay.
Yet. That was last year though. So
yeah.
This year we've already started aggressively working with the government, with our big clients, our international clients, and are setting these goals for them and telling them that this is what we should be doing, this is our target for it, and we can help you reduce energy from that.
Okay. All right, so Kevin's going to be around, obviously,
yeah,
so if
definitely.
you guys have more questions, seek him out. He's got a lot of great information. Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, a lot of juicy stuff there, a lot of things that you guys can be thinking about, and to help facilitate that conversation, I want to bring our next 2 facilitators up, 2 of my favorite people in the entire world. So I've already introduced Nancyjzavada, co-founder of GMIC, one of the principals at Meet Green. She has done so much in the industry. And then Lindsay Arell, who has her own company, but also works at the Colorado Convention Center and is on the board of GMIC. They're gonna run you through some questions, and they're gonna give you some sense of what they would like you to do for the next little bit to take advantage and discuss what you just saw. So Lindsay and Nancy, take it away.
All right, hi everyone. That was amazing, Kevin. I knew you guys were doing a lot of really wonderful things, but I think that demonstrates, coming from a facility, really how an organization can really take advantage of all of the technologies that are out there and implement them, using your staff and your team, and it was really impressive.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent example of ReThink. I thought, while I was listening, ReThink and Reimagine should probably go up.
Put this one up. here we go.
Because that's what we're being asked to do, is reimagine.
So I guess it seems like, okay, we had yesterday and this morning to kind of get into the groove of working with our groups and really collaborating, and this is going to be a little bit more of the same. But don't worry, we won't make you get up this time. But we wanted to, we're going to be asking you 3 questions that we want you to discuss, and really about collaboration. So the first one, just to get started, is how can hotels and venues be drivers for new technology solutions? And then kind of a second part is, what new technologies are you seeing that are being implemented? I mean, I think, you know, Kevin's example of being able to provide sub-meters and for each of their different meeting spaces and being able to provide that data to clients, that is one of the biggest, that's one of the most difficult things for a venue to be able to do, because we're not traditionally sub-metered out that way. We're, you know, if we have sub-meters, it's by our lighting and our HVAC, and it's not necessarily by a location. So I thought that was a great example of technology being able to provide a solution that has been a major challenge for venues. So I guess we'll have 5 minutes to discuss this question, and then we'll just pick a few to share. So talk amongst yourselves.
So it's a really good question. How can hotels and venues be drivers for new technology solutions? If you work on the hotel side or on the supply side, maybe a special facility or a caterer, you know, are you using any kind of technology right now? You can share your comments with me by tweeting at PYM Live. You also can tag your tweets with hashtag GMIC 2014. I want to give you some time to go ahead and think about that, and while you do, I'm going to kind of recap some of the highlights from Kevin Teng's presentation. So the question is, how can hotels and venues be drivers for new technology solutions, and what new technology is being implemented? Kevin was telling us kind of how at his venue he had managed to do it, and there were 3 key things: the technology that was in place, which, as Lindsay pointed out, not every hotel is set up to know on an hourly basis how much energy they're using in each of their rooms. The process. So the process is very important for keeping people accountable. So every department has goals that they're reviewed against annually. There are weekly audits of the waste, of the energy, of the meetings. Everyone gets education and has to pass a quiz. And it creates kind of a healthy sense of competition. And I thought that was a really interesting point that Kevin brought up, which is you don't have to disregard some of the baser elements of our nature. You can actually use them as opportunities for change. So if you make it fun to compete, and that was one of the themes last night, is how do you make sustainability fun? We actually, because everybody in the department sees what's happening on a weekly, on a monthly basis, they are able then to have a standard that they're working together with. I wanted to welcome, I've got somebody who's going to hang out with me for a little while and talk. So Babs, would you mind introducing yourself and telling people where you're from?
Sure. I'm Babs Nydam from the Amsterdam Rye Convention Center in the Netherlands. And I'm here, and I'm also GMIC president for the Dutch chapter. Yeah, and I'm here with all these great sustainability people.
Excellent. So one of the questions that we're all working on right now is, what can hotels and venues be doing? So since you come from that perspective, would you mind sharing with us some of your thoughts?
Well, I think they can do so much because, you know, you're an actual venue and there's so many things you can do to save water, electricity. But I think we also have the opportunity to educate our clients. So what we're trying to do is clients that are interested, just like actually the Sands was saying, that we give them a 2-hour or like a consultancy session to start thinking about their sustainability plans for their meetings. And, it helps if it's at a sustainable venue already, but of course, I think everybody could contribute to making it a more sustainable environment, and that means that the meeting planner or corporate meeting planner or the event coming in, if they try to reduce their amount of waste and the amount of water and energy, that's good for everybody and also for our venue, because we're trying to save that. And if the client comes in and leaves all the exhibitors leave the lights on, that's wasteful for us as well. So.
Yeah, and I think from working with a lot of meeting planners from an educational standpoint, I do find that one of the biggest challenges they have are just ideas.
Yeah.
They, you don't know what you don't know, and so what's nice is when you have really motivated suppliers and venues that are working with them to find solutions, it gives them an option and ideas and procedures that they didn't even realize were possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the largest exhibitions that we actually have at the RI yearly, they were inspired by our sustainability policy and are starting to produce their own sustainability policy and realize that it's really important for their event and their exhibitors and their visitors to contribute as well. So we've been working together to see how we can improve their sustainability policy as well. So.
Cool. Well, I want to come back and ask you about technology that you're using, but we're going to switch right now to the stage again.
All right.
Yeah, I was just international at Geneva Convention Center, and they have the sub-metering at every one of the floor ports within their facility actually is regulated on a sub-meter, and so every exhibitor, they were able to have a smart meter scenario where if you've got a booth in the floor, they can actually look real time on their handheld devices through an app to actually see how much energy they were using as a booth. So it was a whole regulation of like your smart meters that you would see in your homes where you can see your peak usage. And of course, so that was something that I was really amazed at, that was out there. And then I was heard some of these other new buildings are doing that. And then another facility I was in, we were in a room that was too cold, and so the person came in from the facility and on their iPad just changed the temperature for us right there and took the temperature up without having to call the headquarters and some guy down in a boiler room somewhere, So it was all, technology was right at their fingertips to take care of it right there. So that was, I just had witnessed that in the last couple of months.
Those are great examples. And yeah, I mean, those are classic, things questions that have been coming up for years. How do you charging exhibitors for their power usage, or how do you quantify, what that is, and other thing, temperature management. How many people in a venue you're running around half the time as an exhibit or as an event manager, changing the temperatures. Anyone else want to share? Yes, the table in the back, Tamara, I believe. Hi.
Kind of when he was just bringing that up, it reminded me of an event I did in Singapore a number of years back. I went into a hotel, and with your key card, when you went to your guest room, you plugged it in on the wall, and the lights would turn on as well as the air conditioning. And when you took your key card out and left, it would turn everything off. So I thought, man, that's a great way for hotels to save money as well as reduce the carbon footprint.
Yeah, I love that, and I've seen that's like in Europe. I mean, that's all around, but I haven't ever really seen it in many hotels in the U.S. yet.
Also, we're creating a new workplace solution at Symantec where they're bringing in different ideas on like digital whiteboards inside the meeting room. So instead of like flip charts and things like that, you could collaborate. Put it on the digital whiteboard and email it out to everybody. So it is kind of a note taker.
Yeah, the email it out to everybody, that's a good one too. One over here. Oh, they're really excited over there. All right, we'll do one here and then one over there.
So hi, my name is Chris. I'm with a small hotel called the Inn Marin, and we've implemented a really cool water-saving technology that's all computer-based, and it takes into consideration the slope of your land and what you have planted and everything. And we put it in, and in the 2 months from September 18th to November 18th, we saved 209,000 gallons of water.
Wow.
So, and it's actually one of our clients, ET Water. I'll give them a plug, but it's pretty cool.
It's
Nice.
very impressive.
Nice.
Okay, and the last one over here in the corner.
Put your hand up.
Coming to you with the...
Oh, both hands.
Okay.
Right, yeah, the like second row in.
So hi, my name is Michelle, and my table nominated me to do this. So the first thing I'm supposed to say is actually sustainable carpet from the Carpet Man, which is actually great, and recycled carpet from plastic water bottles. But the second thing actually was very personal to me. I travel a lot, and I like to leave a light on somewhere. So usually I leave it on in the bathroom, doesn't disturb me. So a hotel I happen to stay in quite frequently installed those automatic lights out things. So it really bothers me a lot because I wake up in the middle of the night and may not know where I am. And so actually putting in little small, low energy night lights in the rooms for guests for use.
Yeah, those are great. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and then another thing I saw was for the Earth Hour, they did a candlelight dinner.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, ambiance. Those are great examples.
Nice
And
touch.
I just wanted to say, before I turn it over to Nancy, we can discuss more. You know, we've talked a lot about what planners can do to bring along their suppliers. I'd really like to encourage suppliers like venues and hotels and other, you know, areas of in the room to talk to their suppliers and let them know these are the things that we are trying to accomplish for our clients, but for ourselves, and kind of keep that conversation going. You know, even though, you know, I come from a venue, I'm a supplier. I have a lot of other needs too. So, you know, just keep that conversation going and ask for it. Plug.
Great. All right, planners in the room, it's our turn. It's also our responsibility, like Kevin talked about, how many people are asking for it. So let's spend another 5 minutes in your groups talking about how planners can challenge venues or suppliers to be more efficient. So 5 minutes in your groups.
Great, so we are going to accept that challenge. I'm back with Babs. Come all the way from Nederland.
Yes.
So, you know, you were talking a little bit about things that suppliers could do. Right now, they want to know what are some things that planners can do. I know that a lot of people in our virtual audience are actually meeting practitioners. So if you have an idea, if there's something that you're already doing to challenge your vendors and your suppliers, please do let me know that. Hashtag GMIC 2014 or tweet directly at PYM Live, and I will share that with everybody else who's watching. We also do have a collaborative note-taking document. So as we've been going through all of these broadcasts, I've been taking notes along with some of the other virtual viewers. So if you have other thoughts, like maybe you didn't think about it right now, but you want to do that later, feel free to go in, plug that in, because we'll be editing that and creating a post-event white paper for everyone. And that is at ez.com/GMIC notes, and you see it at the bottom on my tag. So what are things that you wish planners would do to challenge you?
I think first of the questions that I think we've been discussing is actually asking for what we're doing in sustainability to actually drive that conversation. Unfortunately, and I think even from the SANS, they mentioned that it's still a really small percentage of planners who are actually asking the questions and, you know, looking at the Just Ask For It campaign for GMIC. It's important for people to start that conversation. I think that, for example, at the RI, our executives do really believe in sustainability, but they also don't see the clients coming in asking for it. So they're so some of the, you know, these smart technologies might have a big investment for a venue like, you know, a large venue like ours, and we have some of the buildings that are not as, you know, it's easy to install smart technology in a new building, but it's harder to make an older building more smart. So for us, some of these investments, we need to convince our executives, and I think that planners have that ability, that buying power to convince venues to invest even more, to take the next step as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you're only doing so much, but you know, it's a supply and demand, and you know that.
And we're not bringing the demand.
Exactly.
And we actually, that was something that was really interesting. We did a survey at PYM Live San Francisco about what actually it was PYM Live Atlanta, about what the
what the key deciding factors were when they selected a venue,
Yeah.
and sustainability initiatives didn't even rank. Surprisingly, cost was not the most important thing either, which it has been in recent years, especially with the recession. I have a couple of suggestions from the virtual audience.
Yes, cool. I'd like to hear them.
So Catherine Manfredi says that planners can ask hotels and venues to close guest room drapes to conserve and reduce heat, air conditioning, and exhibit move-in, move-out at reduced power. I know IMEX America did that because when we were setting up our booth in Las Vegas, we were sweating like hogs. So they definitely were doing that.
Not sustainable for the people, but very sustainable for the energy.
And I think that's the thing too. It's like it doesn't have to be something that makes people uncomfortable. And if you go to the GMIC Global website, they actually have in their resource center a whole bunch of addendums that meeting planners can add to their RFPs. And that is a fantastic place to start if you're a meeting planner who's not quite sure what to be asking for. They're already written out. You just slap them on there, and they comply with every single one of the Apex ASTM standards. So everything from transportation to water and waste reduction. It's really comprehensive and very useful. So Shauna McKinley said that, where is her? Oh, she wanted to say, first of all, that it was great to see you.
Yeah, hi, Shauna.
And then I had one, and I just lost it because I went to my direct messages. So,
All right,
let's
ready
see.
to come back together and share your ideas?
Yeah, so, oh, yes. She said that venues can do a lot, and the planners just need to drive business to venues who walk the talk.
Absolutely.
So
yes, totally agree.
if this is something that's a personal passion of yours, make it a professional action of yours as well, and that in law of supply and demand. So we're going to switch back to the stage. And if you have other thoughts, you can also continue to tweet those and to share those with us.
So needless to say, with two people wearing "Ask for It" T-shirts, it's got to be in the RFP. We have to ask for it in the RFP. We were discussing, put it out there forthright and upfront so that they know what they're up against. But if two properties come back with comparable prices, one of them has the ability to measure, track, and trim, the other one doesn't, then they're going to lose the business. And everyone, all the planners at the table are almost excited to tell them, sorry, you didn't get the business because, so that they can tell their management and their executives why they're losing the business.
That's really important. That's an important step. Great.
Key.
Who else? No, come on, don't make me call on you. There we go.
Denise.
While we're waiting for her to get a mic, we had a couple of suggestions from the virtual audience.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share those. Shauna McKinley said that
Hi, Shauna.
that planners need to drive business to venues who walk the talk. And then we were talking about, I need to find my direct messages now. Oh, shoot. Do you remember what it was, Catherine Manfredi? She had said, yeah, that as a meeting planner, you can be asking the venues to be closing drapes, to conserve on energy and the AC. You can ask them to reduce the energy output when people are loading in and loading out so that you don't have ACs running to cool the room to 69 degrees when you're just setting up trade show booths and things like that.
Great.
We were talking about how this is still really a conversation about individual asks, and maybe it's time for the industry to come up with an industry-wide ask. And I was just reflecting on experience in my previous work in the apparel and footwear industry, and in the late 90s and in around 2000, we started collaborating with I worked for an outdoor company. We started collaborating with Patagonia and Nike and Timberland, and realized that we needed to ask the same thing of factories, and we came up with common codes of conduct. And if you look at the worker rights code of conduct of my small 12-person company in Vancouver and H&M, it's the exact same thing, and there's a reason for that. And 10 years ago, that industry decided to come together and say, 16 years old is the age below which is child labor, and we work collectively and globally to create a common standard.
fairly high level. How my company executes and how Nike executes is very different because of scale and capacity. But we're asking for the exact same thing when we walk into a factory, domestically or overseas. And I think there's something to be said for the industry to come together with a common ask. It's not a 132-page set of standards. It's a simple ask of like 10 priorities. We expect as an industry that you can report on energy use. We expect as an industry that you'll source separate your waste streams. Like, what are those 10 things? And we all need to ask some things. It needs to be about what we're asking for.
I think that just to kind of build on that, I mean, that's basically essentially the Ask For It campaign, right? Is a call to action for that. GMIC does have, as a tool available to anyone, RFPs. They are broken out by segment, so it's not, you know, the universal ask, if you will, but it's about a page long. I think maybe some of them are a page and a half of, you know, that anyone can use to say, to give that to your suppliers in the various sectors and have a common ask. And I think speaking from a venue, from a supplier, I would love to have the same set of questions and the same expectations from planners, because then I can, and this kind of leads into our next question, but so I won't go too much, but that helps us prioritize and focus and know how to really, you know, provide what our planners want.
And that's a perfect segue.
So with that, we want you to now discuss how can you work together to build bridges for solutions using these technologies. So again, you'll have about 5 minutes and then we'll be wrapping up.
All right, so welcome back. Yeah, really good question. Because I think, you know, it's really interesting how the dynamic between meeting planners and people on the supply side is kind of artificially set up, where it's like, oh, we've hosted buyers and we have, you know, suppliers, and it just commoditizes the relationship, and it kind of obscures the fact that we really need each other, not only to create great partnerships and great events and great experiences for our attendees and for our key meeting stakeholders, but also, I mean, everything from contract negotiations to the actual execution of the event is affected by the relationships that we form with people on the other side of the table. So do you have thoughts right now?
Well, I had to think about it a little bit. It's a difficult question.
That's why I was stalling.
Yeah, they're very good. But one of the things that pops up into my head, I mean, we had a great presentation this morning about Heather McKenzie, and, you know, there's so much technology and software there, and they do it for building companies and creative concept, you know, and creative concepts. And it would, you know, and Autodesk has been at our venue, and they've done a conference there. So wouldn't it be great if you would be able to exchange that, you know, that knowledge, and that they want to drive business and sell their product, and we might want to use them. So, you know, if we have lots of IT companies coming to the RAI, and it would be great if we would be able to collaborate and say, okay, you have your event, and in exchange for that, you know, you install all that cool stuff you are able to provide for us, and in that way try to collaborate and partner up to have a solution.
So I think, you know, maybe to take that a step further, it's, you know, identifying people who are already operating in ways that align with your personal and with your business objectives, and then ask those partners who are already out in the field what kind of partnerships they can bring to the table in terms of, you know, sustainable carpet vendors and you know, green AV companies and, you know, speakers who can educate on those topics, or you know, CSR related activities you can do in the location. Because especially if you are planning an international meeting or a meeting in a city that you've never been to before and you may not have any local contacts there, partnering with your venue, with your sales contact there, they're already in market, and they might be able to suggest local businesses or local charities or resources like food banks or things like that that you can use to actually really not only give your attendees a sense of place, like we were talking about yesterday, but give them options and ways in which they're going to be positively affecting the community by doing the events in that community.
Absolutely, but maybe the planners bring in knowledge and things that they've seen at other venues in other cities that could be useful to us as well. I mean, I think it's really, it's all about collaboration and partnership. You hear those words coming up. So I think, it's much more of having that conversation and talking about how you can work together versus that supplier-client relationship, what you mentioned before.
And I think, especially if people are just coming into the industry, if you look at it from both sides, you have the people on the supply side who they have sales goals, they have weekly sales goals, and they're stressed out because they have to, book a certain number of business and they have to massage a certain number of leads. And so sometimes, especially when you're younger, you lose track of how to form those relationships. And on the planner side, you have people a lot of times who are thrown into it, so there's no sense of community or best practices or well of knowledge to draw from. So yeah, if you're on either side of those little newbie positions, partner up with as many mentors as you can find. Okay, it looks like we're about to get back to the stage, so if you have further thoughts about this, don't forget you can still tweet at us, hashtag GMIC 2014. If there are great ideas that you heard, share them in the notes document.
We've spoken a lot about asking for it, and I think we can honestly say that sometimes we come up against barriers, and sometimes suppliers say we can't do that here, or it's not possible to recycle, it's not possible to donate leftover food to local communities. So I think as planners, our roles is also to communicate and to educate and share best practices of where these things are happening and where they're happening very well, and help our suppliers to understand that they can also use these technologies, can donate to local communities. There's sometimes ways to work around these issues.
Great.
Definitely.
Do we have anything from the virtual audience on this?
We didn't have a lot from the virtual audience, but Babs and I were discussing back here ways in which we could partner and sharing that with the virtual audience. So some of the stuff we were talking about was just how, if you're going into a city that you've never been to, or if you're planning internationally,
right.
Your sales contacts in that city could be your best resource for activities or CSR things, team building, sustainable vendors. Things that you might not realize would be available to you, but like we were talking last night, not only would give your attendees a sense of place, but also a sense of purpose and a positive impact in the community.
Absolutely.
Babs, did you want to summarize some of the stuff that you were sharing? Because you had some good stuff too.
Well, I was more saying about corporate clients coming to the RI, and we sometimes don't know I work for a venue. We sometimes still don't have the technological solutions, and talking. Heather was talking this morning at Autodesk, and maybe we could exchange some software with having the meeting on site. Actually exchanging that expertise that they can help us become more sustainable with their software or expertise, and we can help make their meeting more sustainable. So actually looking more at partnerships maybe on a higher level, and in the end that means that they're leaving something behind that can be used for other clients as well.
Yeah, we also talked about, if you're doing business with people who are supporting your personal and your professional objectives, asking them for resources, to kind of broaden your knowledge and your scope, because chances are if you're doing business with somebody who is already helping you fulfill those goals, they have a whole network of friends and contacts and ideas and solutions that you may not have thought of.
Anybody else? Yeah. Sure, go ahead, Dave.
We had one that might be kind of frightening to the venues, but bear with us. We were talking about these apps where they can control the lights and the temperature and things of that nature. We talked about using those apps, but creating guest accounts for your planners on site, because we know that things happen. The only thing constant is change, especially in our meetings and our agenda. But your event attendees are going to come find you when it's too cold. And being able to have a guest account instead of having to track down your CSM, who then pulls up an app and changes it, having a guest account for the planner who can log in and change the room temperature on the fly. Or if a meeting room changes and you now no longer need that meeting room, being able to kill the lights in that room without having to leave the registration desk.
How much fun would that be?
Well,
I hear engineers cringing
Yeah.
around the world.
I know from a concept standpoint it's frightening at first, but you know, the permissions can be built in that there's, maybe it just pings the CSM to say that this request is coming in, please approve.
good.
And as simple as that, but really kind of embracing that technology that is in place to empower your on-site people to take care of those attendees and create an experience that also affects the bottom line.
I love it. Autodesk, can you do something with that? Make that happen?
Well, thank you all for your comments. There's so much talk. I think it'll continue on through the lunch, but I do want to invite Ann back up on stage for our next building project.
Do you need help?
Okay. Well, basically, this is just before lunch to give you the opportunity. Now you have had an opportunity to talk about these 3 questions with the headline Smart Technology and Cost Savings. And now it's free to put up any thought.
So a number of you that shared, you guys didn't really write anything down at your tables, but if you shared something, please just come up and write it on the box so that we can capture that content.
Yeah, and it's 1 pillar here for each of the questions. So please do that. You're free to do that now. You could also do during lunch break.
Well, let's actually have them do it during the lunch break because we're
And
actually running up
also
against our
want you-
time.
Yeah, and I also want you to the summaries that's lying on your table. If you will please bring that to the wall down here for everybody to be able to see. Wherever there's room, that would be great. And then it's time for lunch.
Yeah, well, before lunch, don't go anywhere just yet. So a couple of quick things. If you haven't yet, and hopefully you will, please RSVP for the gala dinner and recognition tomorrow night. It's kind of the first time that we've really done this, at least in a long time. We want to support the Mission Bay Conference Center, so I hope at least the people that are local, if you're not flying out, or if you're not flying out tomorrow, please do come and attend. It'll be a fun event and a good opportunity to network together. Okay, so to explain about what we're doing next, and we're super excited about what we've got planned for the next couple of hours in terms of lunch and a CSR activity, I want to invite the Director of Community Projects for the San Francisco Hilton. They've been a fantastic partner, not only for this conference, but for many, many events in San Francisco, including Oracle Open World. My good friend, Jill Licata.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much. Well, lunch is outside. It's set up on the buffet tables, and your lunch is it is on a plate underneath a room service cover. On your plate is a sandwich, a piece of fruit, and a contained pasta salad. So you have a selection of different sandwiches, and there's signage. There are also bins of wrapped cookies and chips. So take what you want to eat, bring it back. You have 15 minutes to do that. Those components of the lunch you do not wish to consume, please put in the bus pans that are alongside the tables, and those will all be donated after lunch to food runners. So you have 15 minutes. Thank you.
So we only have 15 minutes to get our lunch.
So we're going to go.
Yeah, before the food runners take it away. So we're going to go. We'll be back later this afternoon. You can find upcoming video broadcasts and links for those, as well as past broadcasts and the snappy TV edits and things like that, and some of my glass videos I've been doing on the fly at youtube.com/plan your meetings. There's a whole playlist just for GMIC 2014. So check it out, friends. Until then, plan well and prosper, and until next time.